even you're going to put a slight, demarcation here on my property, I have to be in the know.
Yeah.
The fact that you own the property and you're giving it out doesn't mean that
you know
overload
what?
them.
I know the law is just there for the people who would want to strong arm another landlord that they can strong arm, but then it's not really effective in doing many things because you can't even afford a lawyer.
Yeah, because I think visiting 3 times in 6 months
that is an infringement of privacy.
Is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The Yahoo boys that moved in had gotten a fetish priest who was killing chickens in the house. I'm telling you, this is absurd. Like, I can't make these things up.
Welcome to the HomeFront. With me today is Lorraine and Jeff.
Hello.
So I'll start off by asking Lorraine, what are your experiences as a landlord dealing with tenants?
So we're just going to get right into it.
Just like that.
Right, okay. Experiences dealing with tenants.
Yes, as a landlord.
You know, I would move to Jeff as I like to have the last word on this. So, Jeff, what are your experiences dealing with landlords? Well, first of all, how long have you been a residential tenant?
2 years, yes.
Oh, 2 years, okay. So 365 2 times. That means that you've got experience in this. So, yes, go on, shoot.
My experiences with landlords?
Yes.
I mean, it's not been eventful. It's been the usual, pay 2 years in advance, and me trying to get it down to less than 2 years because I want to be able to move as freely. But that's mostly been the bone of contention. Outside of that, we get our papers and agreements, and that's it. So that's basically how it's been. So
you're saying that the contention is paying 2 years in advance?
Yeah, those are exorbitant advances.
But day to day, you don't have any issues with your landlord?
Yeah, a lot of the times they don't live on the property, and even when they live there, they don't have issues with me because they don't see me as often.
Okay. So. And what are your experiences like when you have issues? Say maybe the roof is leaking, or you have all those little issues that a landlord has to fix.
Yeah, I mean, I just report it to. So there's often the landlords that are absentees, the ones who don't live on the property. They often have a mediator. You speak to them, and they speak to the landlord. So I just just tell them that, the roof is leaking. This is happening, and they often fix it. It's been 2 years, so I don't think that I've had a lot of irresponsible landlords so far. Yeah.
But there's such a thing as irresponsible landlords.
Obviously, yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm not an irresponsible landlord, that I can say. So I do not know what an irresponsible landlord looks like.
I see.
Yes, but do you know what an irresponsible landlord looks like, George?
I kind of do, actually, yes.
Okay. What does that look like?
So I happen to be a commercial tenant.
Okay.
And
what does that mean?
Commercial tenant means I rent for business. I don't rent for residential.
Okay.
Okay. So is Airbnb. I'm sorry.
No. I am
also new to the term, so I would like to.
So, like an office building. Let's say I rent commercially.
Okay.
I rent a shop. I rent an office.
Okay.
That's a commercial tenant, as opposed to a residential tenant where you live.
Okay. Thank you.
And my experience with my landlord, is that very responsible, like you're saying. So many experiences, which we'll get into a little bit later. But what is your experience like as a landlord dealing with tenants? You are a residential landlord, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I would say it's been okay so far. So far as you know your role and function as a landlord. The property is yours. You're renting it out. And so you must be versed, is that the word? Or you must be knowledgeable in whom you're giving your property to. I would always, I think people think I'm a bit extra, but I like to know what you do for a living, who you are, what your family looks like, how many people are moving in. Because, we have a couple of people that move as a group. And I don't want to mention any tribe or nationality, but people move in groups. So if you're going to rent my house and I know that you're this tribe or you're this nationality, I need to be really careful, because that means that your whole family plus your extended family, they're going to come on holiday and they're going to live in my house for about 2-3 years without my knowledge, you know. So you need to be very careful about these things. But my experience so far has been very good, because I have an airtight tenancy agreement.
Okay, we'll get into that in a bit, but
Okay.
does it really matter who or where the person is from if they're just paying how much you want?
Okay, I'll give you an example. And this one, this is not hearsay. This is my friend who's gone through this, and I asked their permission before, because I said, if I come here and they ask me this, can I say it? And they said yes. She rented her property to 419, is that what you call them? Yahoo boys. And they are not our nationality, of different nationality, I'm not going to say it. But she didn't do her homework. And they seemed like really, they get all these very dapper men to front them. And so this guy was very well dressed, and he came and he spoke with her, and she's like, okay, how many years? He said, well, let's do a 5-year agreement. And I said, no, don't do that, because that one too we need to talk about. Don't commit yourself long term. If you do the maths and you realize, listen, you can live without the money long term, do not commit yourself long term. It's something you should never do. So I said to her, no, just do 2 years or a year, because and then see how it goes before you commit yourself. She said, okay. So she said, all right, 2 years. And this was about 5 years ago, so she could do 2 years, 3 years. And what happened was, her neighbor, because she was out of the country, and her neighbor phoned her to say, there's something going on in your house, you need to come back and see what's going on. She wasn't here, so I had to go. And when I got to the gate, I said, no, this is not for me. Thank you, Jesus. I'm going back home. And I phoned her, I said, no, you have to come and deal with this yourself. The Yahoo boys that moved in had gotten a fetish priest who was killing chickens in the house. I'm telling you, this is absurd. Like, I can't make these things up here. Killing chickens and goats and spilling their blood everywhere in the house. Wow. Now, if this is your house, how would you feel about this?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, no, you need to be very careful concerning the people that you're renting, to do your homework. And if you're Christian, please pray. I mean, prayer is the answer. Please pray before, because otherwise you're going to get all these people living in your house doing all these things that, would you be happy if you rented your house to someone who's killing chickens for rituals in your house daily? Would you be happy? So far as they're paying you the money, would you be happy? And spilling blood everywhere, would you be happy?
I think a better question for Jeff would be, would it matter if your landlord, assuming came and you were doing whatever you're doing at the property you rented, would you feel some type of way if they had to tell you what to do or not to do in the house that you rented?
Yeah, I think it's a bit complicated. There's no, clear, decision in these matters. People like to imagine that business is all unemotional, but there's a great deal of fear and anxiety that goes into business.
Yes, I agree with that.
So I think that when it comes to businesses, people go in with a lot of suspicion of other people's motives. And so when there's that alarm tickled, a lot of people would enter into things that they wouldn't love to enter into. That is why they make these agreements that are so airtight that they try to foresee as many scenarios within which the anxiety wouldn't be tickled. And so contracts try to be as comprehensive and as elaborate as possible so that these don't happen. When it comes to the situation of, say, people of a different cultural background and all those other things, and in Ghana, I think it's a little bit also complicated because there's a whole assumption that people who enter into your house want to take it away from you. And I don't think that is in a vacuum. And I think there are a lot of things that haven't been said in that particular assumption. But then in this particular case, it's something that actually happened. And so I don't know how to respond to it. Yeah, so I'd like to keep it that way.
The funny thing is, speaking about that, I had a friend who's Nigerian.
Okay.
And I remember he was looking for a place to rent. And he had such a difficult time renting
because
Just
he was
because
Nigerian.
yes.
I can, yes.
Just because
Yes.
he
That's
was
not
Nigerian.
a lie. That's not a lie.
Because he was a
Yes.
good person.
Yes.
Just by the fact that he was Nigerian,
Yes.
Ghanaians were not willing to rent to him, which for me didn't make sense.
It's discriminatory.
Yeah. Speaking of,
Well, I mean, hang on a minute, because I've had a very close a friend of mine who's done the same thing, and this person was willing to up the rent money, and he said no, just because the person was Nigerian. I think because we mentioned the nationality, we can mention it again. Just because we're Nigerian, and can you blame us for that discrimination? Can you blame us?
well, let me put it this way. So let's use an American and a Nigerian, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If you're renting to an American and Nigerian, right, would you charge the same?
Good question.
It's a good question.
No,
Well,
as a landlord,
uh-huh.
I come to you, I'm Nigerian, he's American.
Yes.
Who would you want to give your property to?
The American, obviously.
Why?
I mean, and I have to be honest here. Is this going on social media? Is it? Okay. I'll try and be as much as honest here.
No, but let's be very honest. Why would you give to an American and not a Nigerian?
let me, I would have to, firstly, because I'm Christian, I pray about it and see what the Lord is saying.
Okay.
But
Of
and
course.
see if who I'm giving my property to, because in all your ways you have to acknowledge him and he will direct your path.
Okay.
But if I'm going to use principles in judging who should have my property, I would look at their work, what they do, their income. I would look at their lifestyle, and just to, be well informed before making a choice. But I'm not saying me is the correct English, me or I, in particular. But I think my predisposition or my proclivity is to the American.
But why?
Because our neighboring countries and Nigerians they are our neighbors, aren't they? Well, they're not directly
So basically,
our neighbors, but
stereotypes would feed into you
of
letting your
course,
property out.
of course, if I'm not, if I don't control it, yes. And you know what? Even I have to say, people that are really close to me, relatives that have been in the real estate game for so long, I am telling you, they would come up with this and say, Nigerian, American. Okay, what does he do? Okay, what does he do? Go with the American. Fair enough. Done.
Jeff, let me ask you something. Who would you want your landlord to be? What tribe would you want them to be from?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to answer that question.
Why?
Yeah, because then it's a question that is so cynical because it already knows what we assume of certain tribes, and it is based on that or against that a question is asked. So,
Right.
yeah. But then most of the people that are landlords, at least when you come to the southern side of Ghana, you see the dominant ethnic groups are the ones that are landlords. When you enter into the places of ethnic dominance, those are the ones that are the landlords. And so, as a tenant, I don't ever choose the tribe of.
So
who is
the
my
reason why I'm
landlord.
asking who would you want to rent from is because, as from a landlord's perspective, they basically rent stereotypically.
No, I said it could be the case. Hey, this is social media. Don't say that. No, it could be the case, but I said that we have to be well informed. If the Nigerian is much more of a better person in terms of finances, in terms of character,
better
in terms
person?
of integrity, yes.
Okay.
But yes,
Better
that's why
person
I've
because
qualified
you
it
mentioned finance
in terms of
and stuff.
finances, in terms of integrity, in terms of their lifestyle. Because it's very important to look at these things. If the person is much more of a better person than the other in these areas, then go for that.
So
person.
assuming the American person was trans, would you rent to them? Transsexual, transvestite,
No,
Your
trans-
sexuality's
the
got
word is
nothing to do.
transgender.
transgender.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I think
you
your
for-
sexuality's got nothing to do with who you rent to. It's got nothing to do with who you rent to. However, your lifestyle also determines who you rent to. And I have to say, maybe this is the problem for residential landlords. And I'll give an example. I'm not moving away from the question. I'll give an example because I had an opportunity to rent to a different nationality, a different religion. And before even renting to them, what they did was surround my house 7 times with their prayer.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because I was hesitant in renting to them, and so I was around my house 7 times with prayer. I said, okay, all right.
You did or they did?
They did.
Okay.
And the security guy was like, oh, they came again, and they were praying, and I said, you let them in. Don't let them in next time. I said, okay. And then I was like, okay, we're in talks because I wasn't sure whether this is what I wanted. This is not what I wanted. And they had a festival that was coming up. And the security guard phones me to say, oh, they've come again. And I said, what they do? They burned something, and then so the wall is affected. You can see the ash on the soot. Yes, thank you very much. The soot is actually on the wall. And I said, they did what? I said, okay, thank you very much. And so I phoned them. I said, yeah, but we know you're going to rent the property to us anyway. So this is our festival. So we're just welcoming ourselves in the house. And I said, you're welcoming yourself in my house. Wow, that's wonderful for you. In the end, I've got to say that it disturbed me. It was disturbing for me because this is my house. Because we don't share the same religious values. I was in conflict whether to do this or not to do it. Again, these were some of the problems with residential.
Let me ask a better question for you, though. Who would you rather rent to, males or females?
Well, now, some females are worse than males, and some males are worse than females. Anyone I would rent to. I don't have an issue.
So what about you? Would you rather rent from a female or rent from a male?
Yeah, I mean, gender never factored into renting. Okay. Yeah, it's often been, but then the people, my agents have often been women. So, yeah, it's a woman who would lead me to the property and then would tell me the things that I need to know about the property. And then if I'm interested, I pay their fee and then also meet the landlord and do the payment. Okay. And so, yeah.
Lorraine, so as a landlord, what are the most common complaints that you've gotten from tenants?
Can you do something about ECG for us?
Can you do something about ECG utilities?
Yeah.
Knowing very well that you're not. Wow, okay.
Madam, can you calm yourself? Why? I want to discuss something with you. What is it? You see that side of the house? I wonder if you can paint a different color. Have you read your tenancy agreement?
Speaking of tenancy agreements, I wanted to find out, did you write to yourself? Did you get a lawyer to do it? How did you go about that?
I have to say there was paying an arm and a leg for it and paying through your teeth for it, but and your nose, the expression. What is the expression, paying through your nose, is it?
Right.
Paying through your nose?
Yeah, I think that's
paying through your nose, yeah?
Paying through your teeth.
You're
pulling to, like...
Okay, and then paying through your nose, yes, okay. Well, yes, whatever it is, you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Yes, but I would say, again, when I was on my way here, I said, if you ask me any advice I would give to anybody moving into real estate, wanting to be a landlord, renting your property out, this is the advice that I would give you. Have an airtight, solid tenancy agreement. And this tenancy agreement cannot be one that you chanced upon on the internet. It cannot be one that a friend has done and then you modify it and then revise it for your property, because every property is different and every tenant is different. I always say that every situation is unique. And so you must include a lawyer that would help you, devise it and then make it airtight. So for me, I go to the extent of making it airtight that even you're going to put a slight, demarcation here on my property, I have to be in the know. I have to approve. Right. A dog is coming to the house. I have to know. I have to approve. And one thing I would say is speaking of a tenancy agreement, is that I want the liberty to come to the house, not to inspect. Well, yes, that's the bottom line, to inspect, but not to make them feel as if you're always in their face because you've rented a house to them. But you see, the thing is, if we are going to be a good steward of something, this is your property. This is for you. you've got to have that, and not at the back of your mind, but at the focus, that this is your property. They are renting, they've given you money, yes, fair enough, but this is your property, and you've got to look after it. And in Ghana, this is where we live.
But not to cut you off, so where does the tenant's right come into play?
To privacy.
Yes, where does it?
I've stipulated in the contract, sir, that I shall be visiting maybe 3 times within 6 months.
But again, what I'm saying is that so you've rented the property, the tenant has paid money to you to use said property.
Yes.
Now the question is, what are the tenant's rights? Because obviously...
Well, you've got rights. Whatever we've agreed in the tenancy agreement, you sat down, you went through it, and you agreed to it. So you've got rights, you've got liberty of doing whatever it is that you want to do. You sleep in the house, you do whatever that you want to do. It's your house,
except the uninterrupted privacy.
Because it's not
because you're going to interrupt it 3 times in 6 months.
That's a lot. I think that's quite minimal.
Lorraine,
three times in 6 months is quite a lot.
Lorraine, so you know that Ghana law.
No way.
Lorraine, you know that Ghana has a law that protects the rights of tenants.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Are you aware of these laws?
My tenancy agreement is my tenancy agreement.
No.
So
yes,
far as it conforms to the law, I'm good with it, and my lawyer would make sure that it conforms to the law.
Jeff, are you aware of the rights of tenants?
Yes, I'm aware of the rights of tenants, and even how that nobody should be renting more than
1 year.
1 year.
Yes, paying. Yes.
Nobody should do that front loading of costs.
Yes.
And I know most of the people who do who make the law and the regulators. They already have like mansions that they or apartments that they make a lot of money from that kind of front loading of cost. And so I know the law is just there for the people who would want to strong arm another landlord that they can strong arm, but then it's not really effective in doing many things. Because you can't even afford a lawyer.
Yeah, because I think visiting 3 times in 6 months.
That is an infringement of privacy.
Is a lot. Imagine you're living in your house, and I choose to come to your house, saying that I want to come and inspect or visit.
3 times in 6 months.
It's like a dormitory. Even our headmasters don't visit
3 times in 6 months. Well, I've stipulated in my contract. You've signed it.
Well, that's where the tenant's rights come into play.
Yeah.
The fact that you own the property and you're giving it out doesn't mean that
you know what?
them.
You signed it. You read through it. You agreed to it, and you signed it. So that's what I'm going to do.
That's the question I have to ask.
We could make illegal contracts. So the fact that it's a contract doesn't make it inviolable. It can be an illegal contract. Like if you sign a contract with someone and say that at 7 a.m. I'm going to kill you, it's a contract. It's binding, but it's illegal.
True.
The fact that it has been drafted and signed and binding doesn't make it, unquestionable. So,
but I've got a lawyer who's a pretty good
lawyer. There are lawyers.
Jeff, I have a question for you now, though. Okay. So, from the landlord, they have a lawyer that prepared it. When you're signing a tenancy agreement, do you also get a lawyer to look through, or you just sign it because you're desperate to get a place to stay? I
mean, when it comes to a lot of the legal jargon, I'm quite aware to a degree. Enough to not be, in a space. And when I don't understand, I have friends that I ask to read through something for me.
So from your perspective, you don't get a legal person to also go through the tenancy agreement to make sure that your rights are protected?
I mean, because I don't have a lawyer on hire. Like I don't know how many people that have lawyers on hire. Like police wouldn't be bullying a lot of people, right? So a lot of people do not have a lawyer in their corner, right? And so I represent, I don't represent, but then most of the people wouldn't have a lawyer that they can go to. I just have friends that
you call on.
Yeah, that I can call on.
Do you then think maybe if tenants got legal representation in these agreements, a lot of frustrations after wouldn't be the case? Because from the landlord's perspective, they have legal representation, so they think they're covered. But from the tenant's perspective, because, like you said, a lot of them don't have representation, they just go into these agreements blindly. Okay. So if you take a landlord like Lorraine, who chooses to visit the property 3 times...
Is this going on social media, by the way?
Yes, it is. Visits the property 3 times in 6 months, or however many times that they choose to. Maybe if you had representation, that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah, but then the landlord can always pull the offer. They can always say that, okay, they are not renting it out to you, because I think they still have the right to not rent it out to you.
And then give you your money back.
That is what creates the imbalance here. So the landlord is not like trying to give it to you. They don't need to give it to you. There are a lot of people. And that's the housing crisis is what is needed for this imbalance to keep sustaining itself. And so when people are desperate to enter into an apartment, they will enter with manacles on their hand. So, yeah.
Fair enough. That leads me to my next question, though. Personally, what are your frustrations as a tenant? I know earlier you said that the only thing that frustrated you was getting through the hump of doing the 2-year advance.
2 years advance, yeah.
But on a day-to-day basis, what are your personal frustrations as a tenant?
The landlords that I hate the most are Americans. So
the landlords you hate are Americans?
Americans, yeah.
How come?
Yeah, because of the monthly thing and the possibility of them increasing.
Wait, as in you hate landlords that are American?
No, in America. I'm talking about like the tenancy issues in America. So I don't think it's relevant to our context.
Okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Most of the times, the landlords, they don't see a lot of me because I'm either always in the room or not at home.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah.
What did he say? That you were where?
I'm glad that I didn't make it. So I'm either always in the room or I'm not at home. Okay. And so I don't meet them often, and my life is not too dramatic that it would affect the house in a way that would require external attention.
How new is the building that you rented?
I don't think it's new. I think it's been there for a while, yeah.
And there are no maintenance issues, or they're being dealt with expeditiously?
Yeah, so then there was an electrical wiring issue that, looking at the cost of it, I was like, I can handle this one.
So you handled it yourself?
Handled that one, yeah.
You did it yourself?
Yeah, I did it myself.
So if you have a landlord like Lorraine that wants to know every little thing that is being fixed on their property,
I don't want a mother for a landlady.
No, I didn't want surprises. This is how you met my property. This is what we agreed. If you're going to modify it, please let me be in the know. I didn't want to come visit.
I mean, it's a problem with...
If it's her... I think I would mention for her to come and fix it because she's already itching to enter anyway. So I just like, once you're here, please fix this and that and that and that. So, but then the landlords, the other ones, they are mostly absentee. They are not even on the property. And then if they are there, they are living their lives. So it's like a whole silo of existence.
You know what's interesting though? I recently got to know that apparently, you know where they have a lot of tenants in one house, they have to deal with sharing of utilities, and you have to pay. Yeah, I don't think your property is like that. Is it?
No. What was
you have to share the
so bill. You share utilities and end of the month they come to you and say you have to pay.
That's a compound house, a typical compound house problem.
So you have to pay, let's say 20 cedis for water or 100 cedis for electricity, whether you've used it or not.
Oh wow!
It's just a situation like that.
Yeah. Well, oh no. I mean, now a lot of apartments, they have a meter per room or a meter per what's called flat, and so that issue doesn't come up.
Like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's very common. But then again, it's probably my the kind of houses that I engage with. Maybe it's still there in certain compound houses in different areas, but my experience, it has always been that each flat has its own meter.
Because I really found that very fascinating as to how do you determine how much electricity they've used, how much water have used.
They'll ask you what, so when I was a kid and we're in a compound house, they'll ask like what gadgets you have in your room. And so if you have a fridge, you have a microwave, you have a this, you have a that, and all those things. And then they'll use that one to determine, because there are units for them per kilowatts. And so that is what you use to determine how much you're going to pay each month when the bill is out.
Wow. You almost need to be, as a landlord, work for ECG, work for Ghana Water to be.
I'm telling you, you work for all sorts of companies.
Now again, what about you as a landlord? What are your personal frustrations dealing with
please
tenants?
Not call me as much as you would like to. Call me as much as I would like for you to call me.
No, but you want to know every little thing about
a toxic
your building.
relationship.
So if they're calling you, you say you don't want them to call you.
Okay, ECG. What has ECG got to do with me? I don't work for ECG.
But you are the landlord.
I don't work for Ghana Water, do I? If they've decided to put off the water for days. How am I going to solve that problem for you? I mean, I'm sorry, and ECG as well. So my father's not the president of Ghana to solve that problem for you.
Let me tell you from a personal point of view. I happen to have a tenant, right?
Oh dear, here we go again.
When the light goes off, my tenant almost immediately calls me, the lights are off.
Okay, well, you know what?
So what am I supposed to do with that?
No. Your tenant is calling you because they would like to know whether the lights actually have gone off through ECG. Is it ECG? Yes.
Yes, it's
ECG. Or the credit is gone. Because they've got no access to it.
The credit
no, so my question...
I'm sorry?
Is the credit not supposed to be paid by the tenants in your case?
No. So
Okay.
the reason why I'm asking this is because she's saying that she doesn't want her tenants to call her as much as
they would like to.
Yes,
I like them to call me as much as I would like for them to call me.
What I'm saying is that...
You have that in the contract?
Okay. Sorry?
Is that also written in the contract?
No, that's
okay.
not. That's just
I think you should add it. It will really help you.
Yeah, I think
what I'm saying is that I happen to have a tenant that the moment...
Let's not talk about this. I've given you the reason why the tenant would be calling you on such matters, because they want to know whether it is ECG who's put the lights off, or it's the credit that is gone.
So
if they're calling you, same situation, maybe they're calling you because there is a
I wouldn't put
problem.
myself in that situation for them to be calling me about ECG.
Right. So what
if there's an issue with the meter? That's probably why they are calling.
Oh, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I've said to them that I'm a good communicator, exhaust all modes of communication. And so if you call me, you don't get me, you text me, you send me an email. You have my email address, you've got my phone numbers, you don't know where I live, that one, no. But, exhaust all modes of communication. Send a text message, send a WhatsApp message, so that you've exhausted all modes of communication. So you can say, I messaged you, I called you, I texted you, you get through to me one way or the other.
Yeah, talking like someone relating to a boss. Yeah.
For her, I think that's
it's a boss and
is it
employee.
No, I don't think so, because I'm taking your money, and so that means that I have to say, one thing I would say that we haven't spoken about, which is I think the foundation of renting, and if you're going to housing and anything of this, is integrity. It's very important to have integrity. You might see me as difficult as I am, but my name is very important to me. The Bible says a good name is better than riches. I'd rather have my dignity, I'd rather have my integrity than anything else. And so I am going to fix up the house for you. As much as you think the time difficult, I'm going to make your life easier by making sure that you're moving into 100% solid house with no problems. Yes, but the problems would come. Can I finish?
No, wait.
The problems would come. Yes, hold on. The problems would come, and as they come, I'm not an irresponsible landlord that's going to go, okay, so what do you want me to do about it? Okay, I'll come tomorrow. Okay, and I hear some people do that. Once you phone me, you need a plumber, this is the situation. If I can help it, that very day the plumber is there. If not, I'm communicating with you that give me up to 3 p.m. tomorrow and the plumber is going to show up. And if you'd allow me access on the property, I would come in there myself to see what the plumbing issue is, so we can solve it, okay? Yeah. So integrity is very important. You must conduct yourself with integrity. Just because you've taken people's money doesn't mean that, okay, I've given you the house, I have your money, we have 1 year to go, so we're just going to, just while out the 1 year and see how it goes. No.
What for you is a non-negotiable to the point where you would evict a tenant?
When I come, I think that, renting, residential renting is also another issue altogether, especially when you have problems with dirt. I can't deal with that. It is not something I have tried. It is not something I can deal with.
When you say dirt, define dirt for you.
When a place is dirty. It has to be clean, and that is stipulated in the contract that my house needs to be clean. The outside, the inside, the
clean
corners.
To whose standards?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Yes, all the standards are it's in the contract. Okay, that it has to be clean.
No,
clean,
but then clean is not like a precise category.
Yeah.
It could be some people like a certain amount of disorder in their place.
Oh,
That's fine.
no. I
So
understand.
what do you mean by
no,
clean?
You people
That's
should
what I
don't
want.
make me off to be like a very uptight person because I like my own mess. I always say to people,
Yeah, so
I
elaborate
like
what you
my
mean by
own
clean.
mess.
The question is,
You
the
see?
question is, you said a non-negotiable for you is debt.
Yes. Have you seen a college room before?
No. It's relative, right?
Have
Yeah.
you seen a college room
that
before?
to you.
I was in a college room, I think.
Okay,
Lorraine,
here
Lorraine,
No.
Lorraine.
Okay, in the States somewhere.
No.
Lorraine.
Okay.
Debt to you, debt to him.
Yes.
Two different things.
Okay.
Right?
But when we say the house must be clean, you understand what cleanliness is.
No.
Is that
Don't assume we
cleanliness
have a
stipulated
shared
in the
understanding.
tenancy agreement?
Yes, because
And
when I
how do you
consulted
elaborate
my lawyer and I said, okay, I would like the house to look a specific way at all times, and they agreed to it.
So if you go and the house is dirty according to you,
Yes.
then at that point you're going to evict
Oh
them?
no, you have to give them room and a bit more rope to.
And what is that
understand.
rope that you're giving?
Okay, I come 6 times, and I
Six times?
Yes, if I see that the house is in a condition that it shouldn't be 6 times, I think I've given you enough rope.
So that's like 1 year, considering the rate of 3 times per 6 months.
So we're
6 times would mean
we are ending the contract.
a whole year.
Then we end the
Now,
contract.
when you end the contract, are you
Yes.
paying them back?
Oh, the deposit.
The money?
The deposit.
Not the deposit.
No, did you hear what we just said? Please explain to him. So 6 times, that means we are ending the contract because it's a 1-year contract.
So
anyway.
they've already exhausted.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you've exhausted
Yes,
that.
bye-bye. See you later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you? What is a non-negotiable for you to say, you know what? I have to move out. Give me my money.
I mean, when I see that regardless of my absence, there is still a possibility of violence. So
Regardless of your
Violence.
absence.
of my absence, yeah, in the property, there's a possibility of violence. That is when I leave because a lot of times I don't meet a lot of people. The most recent one, I saw that the landlord, when he had returned, he wanted to, intimidate me, and I just wouldn't respond. I don't respond well to intimidation.
No.
And
Nobody
so-
should respond well to intimidation.
Some people
No.
really do, When the
No.
police show up, they are afraid because they know that the police can do whatever they want.
So in what circumstances did the police show up at your side?
Oh no, it didn't get. If it went to the police, he would be into trouble. So yeah, but then I realized that he had ill intentions, and I wouldn't want to be in an apartment that I'm not always around, and now he's around, and then he wants to do something harmful to me, and so yeah, that is why I left.
So you just up and left?
Yeah, I mean, it was getting to the end of the contract anyway, so I just left and moved to another place.
So you didn't demand your money back, or
No, it was getting to the end of the contract.
So you were
anyway.
done?
That's small money, That's what you're going
Money
to
is
fight
not
with.
small, though.
No, I mean, anyway, yeah, it's not small.
money is not small at all.
Yeah, but it's not something I would want to spend time on.
No, there should never be a case where a landlord will, use your position to dominate you in any way, shape,
One
or
could say
form.
that about you.
No. I think I'm a very good landlord.
Just because
you know?
your apparatus of surveillance and dominance is sophisticated doesn't mean it isn't bad.
No, I agree with you 100%. Just because it's polished doesn't mean that it's still not dominance. But I would say that when it comes to violence, I'm not going to be violent.
Of course,
with
I'm not.
you.
I don't think.
and
that
I'm not
you
going
are,
to scheme and be malicious. To my tenants.
because
no.
you already have a contract that's already.
Thank you very much. I'd rather have it all in the contract.
Yeah,
And you know what you're getting into.
it freezes you already. So.
So Jeff, let me ask you this. What advice would you give tenants going into a tenancy agreement with all that you know now? What would you advise tenants now?
Yeah. Usually, the things that you think you can, you can live with, you probably can't live with. If you look at an apartment, like, I could live without this. I could live with this particular thing. You can't. It will get to a point that it will pile up. Those small annoyances, they'll just pile up, and then you just reach that point where you don't want to be in that apartment anymore.
Right.
And so they add up. But I know that a lot of people do not decide in the idea of the rational, choice, or in business, psychology, that people look at what would give them the best value for their money and then choose. People choose what they can afford, literally. So there's some people who look at something and all the money that they have on them can only afford this, and so they take it. And so, how useful is that advice to them?
To be honest with you, though, one thing I've learned today personally is, from the landlord's perspective, to have legal representation. As expensive as that sounds like, I think on both sides, it makes a lot of sense from the landlord side and also from the tenant side.
Thank you.
For them to be able to have representation, to understand what the agreement they're agreeing to is. I think that solves a lot of problems down the line. But as a landlord, what would your advice be for up-and-coming landlords?
I've already said two already, that have integrity as a landlord. It's everything. Your name is important than anything else. So you should have integrity and conduct business with dignity. Treat the, and I think Jeff would disagree here, but treat the tenants as your equal, because you're getting your money. Without the money,
But how are you
Yeah,
treating them
you're equal.
equally
You don't
when
have to
you are
treat them as
intruding their
equal.
space all
they're
the
not
time?
intruding the space. I stipulated six times. It's
So this 6 times you write to them to tell them you're coming?
listen.
Oh,
Okay,
is it
can we-
unannounced? Wait, is it announced?
No,
visit
we
or
agreed that it would be announced, but I've
Announced
done it
visits.
unannounced before because I was passing
Okay.
through.
And
you
is that
know.
allowed?
That should that
That
is,
was just
that
once.
would be a breach
So wait, actually let me ask
of
you a question.
contract.
If you get to your house that you rented out and they don't allow you in,
That's fine.
are you okay with that?
That's fine.
Because you know it's trespassing.
That's
When
fine
you
because
enter-
we said in the contract that
should
we
be
would
announced.
it would be announced. It would be a time that we have agreed on for me to be there. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's fine if I. But
So the question I have again is,
all the people. Have been-
if you're driving around
Good.
and you happen to say I want to go in,
Yes.
and you get there and like, I'm sorry, you can't come in.
that's fine.
Really?
Yes, I wouldn't be upset. I know that I was just pushing.
Something tells me that you would not be fine with it.
No, I would be
Right?
absolutely fine with it.
I
I
don't
wrote in.
know.
I
I don't know
agree.
how.
Can we? You're digressing. Can we move on from this, please? Yes, it's not about me and how many times I would like to visit my
But it's about you
tenants.
though. It really is.
No, it's not.
Because
no, it's
if,
not.
if I mean I wouldn't sign an agreement like that with you. This wouldn't have ever happened. If
Okay.
yeah, so I'm like, no, I don't really intend to see your face
Yeah.
that often.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah.
My face is quite okay though.
Oh no,
I
no,
need
it's
to
not, it's not
say.
about your face.
Yeah.
It's about the fact
No, I'm
that I
just
don't.
making
Anyway,
it up.
guys,
Yeah.
I would like to thank Lorraine and Jeff on episode 1 of Home.
I see. That's a really, really skillful way to end it. Like, anyway, Jeff,
I know.
smooth.
All right, do have a good afternoon, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, item 13 follows.
Thank you. Oh, good.
I know, right?
Yay. Yay. Thank
Okay.
you. How did that go?